Alrighty, this is the Shiawassee Gunner, and I'm back here with my 50 Beowulf lower. This is all complete and everything. Earlier, I did try, smoothing up the trigger on this, and I did. I mean, it did make a big difference. And it feels nice. I mean, there's no grit to it or anything. For the mil-spec trigger, but I did get a good deal. Well, I don't know how, it's not like a fantastic deal, but I did get a deal on the Ruger Elite 452 trigger. I think I got this for $105 at a gun show. I've seen them as cheap as $99 online on special sales, but the time you pay for shipping or whatever, I was looking at them anyways, and it just seemed to be a pretty good deal, as it was. So, I guess let's get into the nitty gritty here. As you can see here, this is the little module, test kit that it does come with. Ruger advertises this as a 4.5 pound trigger pull, whereas the mil-spec is between, give or take, 6.5 to 8, depending on how you have it set up, and what manufacturer. But this is a double stage trigger. As you can see here, you're going to have some noticeable, slack. See right there. You hit a backstop right there, and then at that point is when you have your 4.5 pound pull. But it's really smooth. I will say that when I picked this up, I kind of tested it, and it felt a little gritty. I don't know if it was just how it was stored by the person selling it at the gun show. But I went through like this probably 40-50 times on my way home, just because I was kind of dicking with it, trying to see how it felt, and it really did smooth it out quite a bit. And that is what's nice about the kit, is it does come with this whole dry fire module here. And another part that's nice about the kit, which, I bought a Palmetto State Armory lower parts kit that came with the grip and the stock and everything. So I don't really think I'm going to be switching out the Magpul grip for the Ruger one. Not that there's anything wrong with the Ruger. I just like the texture. There's a little bit more abrasive on the sides here on the Magpul. Ruger's really smooth. It's comfy. But, it's not, I don't really need it, so I'm probably not going to put it on. Now, will I use this on another build? Sure. This is better in my mind than the feeling of the A2 stock, or the A2 style. You still get the, the little back strap here to, thicken it up, and change your whole overall grip on the rifle. It does come with a safety. This looks to be just kind of a standard, that you'd get in a lower parts kit. Safety, it's not really anything special, but I think I'm going to switch it out anyways. This one that it came with, my Palmetto State Armory, not that there's anything wrong with it, it's got a little bit more wiggle. I don't know if that's going to address it or not, but the overall construction with how the lever is located right in the middle of the, you can see there, it's located right in the middle, so I think it's going to add a little extra strength, whereas that's shorter and to the edge, as you can see there. So I'm going to put that in anyways, just to kind of make it, work out for me. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this disassembled, and kind of take a look closer at the internal parts, and we'll go from there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the parts out of the gun, out of the lower receiver there, and out of the little pack that the Ruger comes in. One thing to note, this is kind of nice to have. After I do install the Ruger trigger, I will be putting my old trigger inside of this, just to kind of help hold all the parts that are required together, and that way, eventually, like all ARs are kind of work out, is you might have enough parts to build another AR down the line. So just good to keep on to all the parts that you can. So I'm going to just show briefly a couple of different variations, the variations I see in the triggers themselves. So I'll start with the hammers here. This is the Ruger. Get a little closer here. The Ruger on the left, and this is the standard mil spec on the right. A little thinner on the Ruger in some spots. Obviously, it doesn't have this long piece on the back, and you can see there's some different geometry there to make the two-stage versus the single stage. This weighs a lot less too. Get my scale, give it a go. I don't know how much it'll come up as, but we'll give it a go. So we'll start with we'll go with ounces. Let's see if that does anything for us. Start with the Ruger here. Weighs 0.89 ounces, and the mil spec weighs 1.16 ounces. So there is some weight savings there. Not a ton, mind you, but I think that does lend to making it feel lighter overall. You just got less bulk on it. So that's the hammers there. For the triggers, on the left, on the left is the new Ruger one. Here's the old mil spec one. It's coming apart on me. So as you can see, there's some different things going on. Has this little shelf here for the disconnector to ride on. The disconnector's totally different, and you have this little catch up here for the two-stage trigger as well. Overall, they look pretty similar. The finish that Ruger puts on them is kind of a mil spec finish, so you really won't be able to tell just by looking at it that it's a different trigger. It's not real flashy, so if you want something flashy, probably not your thing, but if you want just a lighter trigger for different uses that looks to be pretty close to mil spec, then probably can't go bad. I guess I'll throw out some weights on these too while we're at it. I'm not real sure how this will come out. Let me get back into ounces here. So the Ruger weighs 1.32 ounces, and the mil spec weighs 1.23 ounces. So a little different. Better shut that off. Little differences there, which it makes sense for the weight difference. On the hammer, you're moving this tang here off the back, makes a difference in the weight, and on the Ruger for the trigger, you can see that it added some parts there, and this part up here, a little bit different geometry in there. So overall, it's probably a wash in the overall weight between the two. But the part that is moving, the hammer, is lighter, so that might lend us a little difference in the feeling. Probably not a ton, mind you. As I said, here's the safety differences. Ruger on the left, mil spec on the right. Which this is still mil spec. I mean, I think my other AR uses this exact same safety. So it has a little S here, so that way when you're looking from the top, it shows that it's on safety, and you can see it. Not that I really need that, but like I said, I just like the design of the other one, or the one on the Ruger kit, a little bit more. Has a little bit different color too. It's a little bit more on the gray side. So. I think everything else looks to be about the same. I'm sure Ruger just pulled off some parts bins for, you know, the generic parts kits. I think most manufacturers make some pretty similar ones. Here's a quicker look at the grips here. I will say that just bouncing back and forth, I think the Magpul's just comfier all around. It looks to be, I don't know if you can see there, it just seems to be a little bit more, it just seems to be a little thinner in here on the Magpul MOE grip. And that just kind of fits me naturally. Like I said, not that this is bad by any means, but I'll keep it for a future project. But it is nice in this kit that it does come with these parts. I mean, they could just send you these two parts in an assorted box and charge you the same amount, but like I said, for $105 you're getting, you know, this, the grip, and a couple other spare parts here that, you know, it adds up. It's convenient, I will say that. But alrighty, so now that we looked at all the parts, I'm going to go ahead and get these installed into the lower receiver here. I have heard on online forums that these triggers do feel a little different on gun, like they almost feel a little bit better. So I think it felt pretty nice in there, but I'll see if it feels any different in the end. You know, there's a little bit different bearing surfaces and everything between this and the aluminum receiver. So, alrighty, I'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back at it. Took a little bit of time, but I got the trigger groups switched. You know, the Ruger's installed in the lower now, and the mil-spec is in this one here for now. So, I mean, as far as it feeling different, feels a little bit more rigid. There's a little bit more play with the plastic, I noticed, when you're testing it, which is still a good tool, but it does feel a little bit different. I will agree with that. But yeah, so there it is installed. It was a little bit of a bear. You just don't have as much leverage. You know, on the mil-spec you can get in there and a little bit better around here, but you don't have that here, and where you really want to get leverage, there's this piece here. So it took a little bit more work to get the hammer pin. You know, the trigger pin, pretty dang easy, but the hammer pin took just a little bit extra work. And as far as, because I had a thought on the safety, this one, I might be nitpicky, but this one seems to be sitting a little straighter here. And as I said, I don't know if you can, it does show like the safe up that you can see there. So not a big deal, but I decided to put it on anyways. I did try the Ruger grip on here, and I just didn't like it compared to the Magpul. But so that is what it is. But for all intents and purposes, the trigger is installed. The mil-spec on here, you know, I can tell it's a lot heavier. You know, there's no wall. You just get a heck of a lot more pull. Whereas this one, oh shit, see, slips right out. Yeah, I know you're not technically supposed to do that, but because it does cause some wear here, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, it is a heck of a lot lighter there. You know, you kind of just, I don't know how to describe it other than it's just a way better feeling trigger than, you know, your regular mil-spec trigger. And overall, I think you know, it'll take some time to see if it makes any difference in the grand scheme of things, you know, with the scope and at range or anything like that. But it does feel a heck of a lot nicer. You know, here's a little graph I'll show that comes on the package there. The blue, as you can see, is the standard mil-spec, and then Here's the new AR trigger. There's that shelf that they're talking about. That's under 2 pounds. And then you hit it, and that's where it will break at the 4.5 pounds up here. And then your standard mil spec. I mean, that chart does a pretty good job of describing how the trigger feels. I know watching it's kind of a different thing than actually seeing it, but it says right here a light, crisp 4.5 pound trigger pull weight, and I would have to agree that it is a light and crisp trigger pull. I'm not 100% certain that it's 4.5 pounds. I don't have a trigger pull gauge, but it does feel nice, and it does. Like I said earlier, it looks to be just like a standard mil spec part. So if you're kind of going for that sleeper look, I was looking at some James Madison Tactical. That looked pretty promising. It's a 3.5 pound single stage, but I kind of like the double stage there. It just provided a pretty good feel for me. Let me go ahead and get this on here. See how it feels with a real dry fire. This is unloaded, by the way. So I must say that's probably the biggest improvement I could have made on this gun. So definitely feels a lot different inside the gun with, hitting the firing pin and all that. So gotta say, I have heard some mixed things on it, but compared to a mil spec trigger, a heck of a lot better. The price point, Ruger has an MSRP on their website for like $150. At that price point, I think you do start to crowd in to some of the, there's some better manufacturers out there that have some lower end kits that I think would probably be pretty comparable to this. But one thing that is nice on the Ruger is, you do get this whole little jig here, the grip, the other safety, and all the extra pins and everything you need. So that, that makes it a little bit more of a value. Ruger does go for the value thing. I won't sit here and preach about it, but for my purposes, I think that this will be a great addition to the rifle. Your experience and your guys's uses might be a little bit varied, but yeah, I don't think you could probably go wrong. When it comes to AR triggers, there's a lot on the market, and like I said, if you were gonna if you had a bone stock, M4 style AR-15, with the plastic grip and with the A2 thing, or the A2 grip, and you just wanted to have a nicer trigger on your target rifle there, I don't think that this would be a bad choice at all. I mean, you could get a little bit of a grip upgrade there. And like I said, spare parts are always a good thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will be sure to post any updates that I feel needed on this. And the rifle itself is coming along pretty good, I think. There's the whole shabam there. It's one of them things. So thanks for watching.